Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today, we are thrilled to be talking to Blitz Wazalule, the creator of an amazing reimagining of The Color Purple that we can't wait for you all to see. We're going to kick things off by introducing you to our AAFCA members on the call today, starting with Dana Abercrombie in New York, Kim Singleton in New York, Ray Cornelius in Atlanta, Ruben Rigald in South Florida, and Brandon Collins in New York as well. And also, I see Anthony White has joined us from New York. I'm going to let you guys do what you do so well, and I'll see you on the other side.
Dana Abercrombie, the Coalition. I loved absolutely what you did with this, but I was really interested in the filming of the musical numbers. The musicals are used as a tool to kind of further explain the internal dialogues of what's going on with the characters. And with that said, I'm fascinated by choosing the locations in terms of when one remains in its natural setting as opposed to when you go into that fantasy realm. So can you talk about breaking down which one was best for which song?
Well, the color purple, as we all know, is, a sacred space of healing, thanks to the great Alice Walker, who bequeathed us this incredible poem. And out of that poem came Steven Spielberg's film. Out of that film came this incredible musical adaptation. And so my job was to kind of figure out all three elements and all these three iterations, and then figure out a fourth dimension. That fourth dimension represented Celie's headspace. And Celie's headspace became a place in which she could actively work her way out of her trauma and abuse in a way that we hadn't seen in any of the iterations yet. It allowed her to figure out her path towards liberation. It helped her figure out how to love, who to love, how to forgive. These were really massive elements to add to the character's dimensions. So out of that also came the responsibility of, okay, now that we have this internal headspace, how do we figure out how music works? Now, we knew that certainly some of the songs just were naturally going to live in the real world because they were, naturally diegetic. For instance, Mysterious Ways, which is a call to church. I mean, that's going to happen in reality. Push the Button, which is Suge Avery's major anthem, is going to live in reality because they function in the real world. But then there were other songs like Dear God, Suge, which, happens on this giant gramophone, which felt like an inner monologue for the character. It didn't feel like something that, and certainly Celie was so shy and Celie was so bashful at the time, it didn't seem natural that she'll in fact sing a duet at that point in her life with Suge. So anything that felt like the character was trying to work herself up to do a certain thing, we would kind of go into her to explain. The same is true for What About Love? We know her feelings for Suge are growing, but Celie's not just going to tell Suge how she feels. So What About Love was an opportunity for us to go into her headspace and do that. So those were things that I feel like it was a way in which we could kind of separate what was real and what was fantastical.
Thank you. Wonderful job.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ruben Peralta from Cocalecas.net. I'm really curious, how was the processing of you getting to direct this film? Because I read that it was a whole pitching through Zoom with Steven Spielberg, with Oprah, and a group of other people. How was the processing, creating that pitching? And because you started with a blank canvas, like you say that you wanted to mix three things: the book, the experience with Steven Spielberg, and the musical. And how do you create all this to present in a pitching?
Yes, well, I'm born and raised in Ghana, and growing up, there was no access to cinema. I didn't, there were no cameras. I loved music, but there was no recording equipment for me to make music. So what I've always had is a pen and a pad. I've always drawn, and that was my whole way into imagining my way out of Accra, was I sketched my way out of it. And any idea that I've had ever, I draw it first. It doesn't matter the medium. I always draw it first. So when I got this opportunity for The Color Purple, that's exactly what I did. I knew that I was going to be pitching some very radical ideas. And as I've learned, it's better to show than to tell. So my job was to sit down and sketch out all of these moments that I felt were going to be radically different and we're going to be truly contributing to the canon that is The Color Purple. So my job was to sit down and figure out, like the giant gramophone, I had to sketch that. 30, 40-piece orchestra. I had to sketch that because those things are not within the canon of The Color Purple already. So I had to show that before I could get the okay. And I think that was very helpful because once I was able to pitch that, Steven Spielberg, Oprah Winfrey, Scott Sanders, Quincy Jones all said, well, that's the man for the job. So I'm very lucky.
I think we are all also lucky that you got the job. Thank
you so much.
Hi, Blitz. Kim Singleton, Consider It Blacklit. One of the many things I like about this film is that the characters, you just showed so many additional layers to them. They weren't flat. And one of the things I liked is how you showed Celie's mother's influence on her. That wasn't really highlighted in the previous version. Talk to us about the importance of doing that and the challenge of doing that.
Absolutely. First, again, this is all reverence to Alice Walker's brilliant novel, because in the novel, she talks about Celie's mother, and we're very familiar with the influence of Celie's mother, but we needed Celie to have an anchor. We needed her to have a spiritual anchor, a guide of sort, somebody who would always be there, even though the brilliant Ingenue Ellis, who plays Mama, only appears twice in our movie. Her presence is so strong, and I needed Celie to always be able to remember what her mother had taught her. I also needed her mother to be the source of the gift that she has, which is the gift of sewing and the gift of style, which eventually becomes her economic liberation away from Mr. So all these things mattered to me, and I also deeply value the matriarch that shows the path and the way. I come from a family of very strong matriarchs, and they are the reason we are where we are. So I wanted Celie to have that as a memory, so that even though she'll go through all of these deeply disturbing moments of abuse and trauma, she will always know that she has somebody she can call on. And so I think that was pretty much my reason for emphasizing the Mama character in this version.
Thank you. Very well done.
Thank you.
Hi, sir. Brandon Collins from the Media Popcorn Podcast. Kudos to getting such an incredible cast of actors, singers, and dancers for this adaptation. Which actor or actress surprised you the most, and who did you find needed the least amount of support from you as the director?
Wow, it's a good one. Fantasia surprised the hell out of me. I mean, I knew she had an endless well. I knew that she was brilliant. I knew that she has a deep soul. But I cannot say I knew she was a thespian. I hoped that she'll find her way through this character, but there are such subtleties that in her performance that are only reserved for the greatest and the best. And I cannot believe that in her first major motion picture, she was able to hit it out the park with such mastery of character. Now you got to remember, we're shooting this movie out of sequence, and lots of things are out of context. So her constant ability to know exactly where she is in the story, that is a real gift. This is not something that anyone can pull off. And so I will say I was the most surprised by her. In terms of who did not need much from me, I mean, that was pretty much all of them. But I'll give it to Taraji, just because T has been doing this for so damn long. And I was, more than anything, I was just glad that she got to use all her gifts. And in spite of being in this business for 20 plus years, she will get to surprise her audience yet again, because I don't think they know how brilliant of a singer she is. I don't think they know how brilliant of a dancer she is, and all the things that she was able to pull off in this film. So I will say, you know, it was just oscillating between these myriads of experience levels. Let's not forget we had the great Lou Gossett Jr. in this movie, someone who is a veteran and a legend. And then we had people who had never done this before. So there was a codependency on the whole cast, and I'm really proud of what we pulled off.
Great job again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
This is Ray Cornelius from Upfront Inside the Entertainment Industry. You know, this film is right up there along with The Wiz and Dreamgirls and just this whole, revival of Black musicals, which we totally, totally love. Having seen the film and having seen the musical, I was so excited to see this film version of this musical extravaganza. But were there any challenges taking this project from the stage to the big screen?
Well, absolutely. You know, when you are adapting a musical, the reality is that musicals do not require the audience to believe that it's happening in reality. Kind of when you get into that theater, you've kind of agreed that this is something that is being acted out. When people turn on a movie, they want to see an approximation of life. That means that every little thing has to feel authentic and lived in. So even though we inherited great music, I had to figure out ways in which we could turn the music into lived-in experiences. So I ended up splitting the music into 3 incredible movements of African-American musical genius. So gospel, blues, and jazz. And I brought in Ricky Dillard to help me arrange my gospel numbers. I brought in Cab Mo to help me arrange my blues numbers. I brought in Christian McBride to help me arrange my jazz numbers. And what those helped me do was take the music out of the Broadway context and bring it into a lived-in experience. And I think that the result was really effective in helping us really communicate this musical.
Absolutely, it was perfect.
Thank you.
Blitz, on behalf of the world's largest group of Black film and TV critics, thank you for joining us today. And thank everyone for watching this edition of AAFCA Roundtables. The Color Purple opens nationwide on Christmas Day. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.